welcome back to another video, and welcome to our first sit down video of 2025. Like, how exciting is that? I am so happy that all of us are here back together for 2025. I pray that your 2025 is off to a good start. It is January 7th, so don't put too much pressure on yourself. Just bask in the goodness that you have made it another year. Anyways, this video is about, I've read 69 books for the year of 2024, and these are my top 10 book recommendations that I can recommend to you all for the year of 2025, right? I hope that makes sense. I read 69 books last year. I picked my top 10 favorite books from last year. So if you haven't read them, I highly advise if you read them in this upcoming new year, 2025. So without further ado, I don't want this to get too long. We're going to go ahead and start with the first one. The first book that we have here is Only for the Weak by Natasha Bishop. If you don't know, this is pretty much about a girl named Janelle in Rome. Janelle's sister, I haven't read this in a while, so let me, if I'm looking, it's because I just need to refresh my memory. So Janelle is the maid of honor for her sister, and it's like a destination wedding. But the kicker is her sister is getting engaged to Janelle's ex, which is just a whole story in itself. But Janelle gets enthralled, gets in an entanglement, gets in a situationship with the best man, which his name is Rome. So I read this early last year, I think around this time last year, and absolutely loved it. I ended up rating it, I believe I rated it 5 stars. I think all of the books that I picked today were my 5-star reads. So I rated this 5 stars. I loved how relatable it was. If you used to be a Wattpad girly like I was back in the day, this definitely gives you those feels, but it's such a more mature way. So I really loved it. It was very nostalgic. I love the representation of Janelle in this book. I love that she was an independent Black woman. She was successful, and sometimes she just kind of had a big heart for people that didn't quite deserve it. So yes, I highly recommend Only for the Read by Natasha Bishop, and I highly recommend reading this in the summertime because it just gives you those vacation vibes, right? So this is my first pick. Okay, so my second book that I recommend is King of Wrath by Anna Huang. I love her writing so much. She's actually one of my favorite authors. The way that she can really just put a story together, she's just so talented, right? I can't go wrong with a lot of her books. That's why when I was in this pregnancy book slump, still kind of am, I knew that this was a author that I could trust, that I would be able to get through the book and still enjoy it while still in this slump, right? So I am going to read my review of this. I also rated this one 5 stars. This is a part of a series. This is book 1 of this series, actually, and I absolutely loved it. And my review for this one was Dante and Viviana. Ciao. I just love the both main man character and female main character so much. This book just has so many of my favorite tropes in it, including enemies to lovers, forced proximity, arranged marriage, grumpy guy, plus outgoing female, and I swooned, y'all. I love this so much. The story flowed so seamlessly. Her writing is just so good. The character development, the plot development, the characters in the book, all of it is just literally chef's kiss, y'all. I love the crossover characters that are appeared in this book from the Twisted series. If you know, you know. That's another thing. If you haven't read the Twisted series by her, you need to read it. And I love how she drops little hints and nuggets on who the next main characters in the books will be about. That is her thing. That is her niche. If you're ever wondering what her next book is going to be about, a part of the series, just pay attention to who she highlights the most. And drop hints about their story in the book you're currently reading, and that's who that book is going to be about. So I love this book, 5 stars. She really doesn't get less than a 4-star for me. I think her latest book I read, I think I gave her 3, or maybe it was a 4, I don't know. But regardless, I love her writing. Just be mindful though that her books will and does contain a lot of spice. That's just her thing. I feel as though that is something you can easily bypass though in her books because the plot is just that good. So if that is something that you can bypass, I would say do that if that bothers you, but still read the book because the story is so good. So This was a 5-star read for me. Oh my gosh, this was definitely one of my favorite books of 2024. This is After I Do by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Now, she is definitely easily one of my favorite authors. If you don't know by now, my favorite genre is romantasy and romance. Specifically romance first, then romantasy, then fantasy, then thriller. Like romance that has my heart. And Taylor Jenkins Reid, this book right here definitely gave me so much Kennedy Ryan vibes. And you all know Kennedy Ryan is like my favorite author, right? This gave me such Kennedy Ryan vibes, and I just loved it so much. So this was about a couple named Lauren and Ryan. Again, I might be like reading the back of the book or reading my review because it has been a while since I read these books. I also have pregnancy brain like crazy, and I just want to make sure I give these books justice. So pretty much their marriage was like falling apart. They was like on the brink of divorce. Like, is this going to work? Is this not going to work? And so they decided to pretty much like take a year off, separated to figure out if they can fall in love again or if they should just part ways, right? However, within that year apart, like they can have absolutely no contact with each other. I don't know how people do it, child. But pretty much Lauren is like on this self-love journey, trying to figure out what what went wrong with herself and with her man, to figure out like why their marriage is collapsing, and challenges from living apart from Ryan, because they've been together, I think, since like college or something like that. So anyways, I'm going to read my review about this. And anyways, I'm sorry, I got distracted. Okay. So this book was 5 stars for me. And I said, this a book alone immediately deemed Taylor Jenkins Reid an author for me. I have read this book in under 24 hours. I simply just could not put this book down. I loved it so much. The characters were so relatable. The storyline completely hooked me, and the family dynamic in this book is just pure perfection. I love how this wasn't your typical second chance romance, and it really displayed the reality of how marriage can get if you do not work on it and fight for it every single day. Those that are married, that's been in relations for a very long time, it's easy to get comfortable, right? So this painted a clear depiction on what can happen when you get too comfortable with your spouse. It shows how easy you can take your spouse for granted and forget the true reason you married your person in the first place. I love this book so much. She has easily became one of my favorite authors, and I'm so excited to read more of her catalog. And I actually rated this 5.5 stars. So honestly, this was probably my favorite book of 2024, if not my top 2, my top 3. This was my favorite romance for sure. Let me just say that. So yeah, this is definitely a must, friends, that you read this book in 2025. Here go my girl, Abby Jimenez. Part of Your World. I love the entire series, but this is book 1, I think, of this series. And this book is just so freaking cute. Like, Abby Jimenez writes the cutest rom-com books ever. Like, I love her writing so much, y'all. So this is pretty much, because I can't quite remember what this one is about, so we're going to kind of skip through it. It says, after a wild bet, gourmet grilled cheese sandwich, and cuddle with the baby goat, Alexis Montgomery has her world turned upside down. The cause is Daniel Grant, a ridiculously hot carpenter who's 10 years younger than her and as casual as they come. The complete opposite of sophisticated city girl Alexis, and yet their chemistry is undeniable. While her ultra-wealthy parents wants her to carry on the family legacy of world-renowned surgeons, Alexis doesn't need glory or fame. She's fine with being a mere ER doctor, and every minute she spends with Daniel in the tight-knit town where he lives, she's discovering what's really more important. So from that sentence alone, y'all know this is such a cute small-town romance. However, bringing Daniel into her world is impossible because her and Daniel live 2 completely different lives. She comes from this wealthy family. She's a doctor. All of her friends are like high class. Her family is like on this type of level. And Daniel was just like this country boy, city mayor type of guy. And he's just very chill, very country. So when their lives like intertwined together. She's trying to figure out, like, how the heck are we going to make this work? So this is pretty much of them navigating that. And oh my God, this was so cute. I'm going to read y'all my review. So what did I say about this one? All right. I said one word for this book: obsessed. Part of Your World is the ultimate small town romance books that gives you all the feels with tropes consisting of age gap romance, forbidden romance, instant attraction, country boy, city girl, etc., etc., etc. When I tell you I have no complaints about this book, absolutely none. Let me go in depth, child. So I said Alexis. Y'all, this is probably the longest review I wrote of 2024, to be honest. I said, I love how Abby wrote her character. She has almost 10 years of life experience over Daniel, and the way she wrote her character, I was afraid that she would have easily made Alexis an annoying older woman who unintentionally belittles and complains due to her age gap and who acts more like his mother versus his lover. And she definitely understood the assignment. Alexis has enough life experience to help Daniel find his worth, grow his business, share with him the other world he has yet to uncover. She was mature, and she was protective over him, and she knew how to move accordingly. Daniel is only 28, but really 38 by heart and soul, because this is the real definition of a good man, Savannah. He really has a heart of gold through and through, and truly the jack of all trades. He loves hard, he's fair, he's just, he's patient, and Alexis was so blessed to stumble upon this gem of a man. Overall, this was my first book I ever read by her, y'all. And now I'm on a journey to go through her entire catalog. She wrote this story perfectly. I love how she wrote the characters with good communication, situations, and movements. And moments in the book weren't unnecessarily dragged out, and it was just so realistic. If you are a fan of Virgin River on Netflix, this gave me similar feels. My all-time favorite small town romance at this point. 5 stars for me. So I think that review alone told y'all enough that y'all need to go ahead and read this entire series, friends. This book, they do say like, oh, you can read it out of order. I suggest reading these type of books in order, because if you don't, you're going to spoil some things for yourself if you read them out of order. So just read them in order, friends. Okay, moving on. All right. The next book that we have is a thriller. It's A Perfect Marriage by Geneva Rose, y'all. This was actually the first Geneva Rose book that I've read, and I fell in love. I ended up rating this book 5 stars, and the twists and turns in this book, like, I was shook. I typically am the type to try to figure out the plot or the, what's the word I'm looking for? The bombshell that's going to happen that catches everybody off guard. I try to figure that out. But I didn't figure this one out. So this one is about a woman named Sarah, who is a successful and powerful defense attorney in Washington, D.C. And as a named partner at her firm, life is going exactly how she planned. However, her husband, his name is Adam. He's a struggling writer who has little success in his career, and he tires of his and Sarah's relationship because she is constantly working. Out in the secluded woods at the couple's lake house, Adam engages in a passionate affair with Kelly Summers. But one morning, everything changes. Kelly is found brutally stabbed to death, and now Sarah must take on her hardest case yet, defending her own husband, a man accused of murdering his mistress. Y'all, this book was so good. So I said this was my first Geneva Rose book, and I'm mad at myself for not picking up her book sooner. This definitely met the expectations of the hype it received, because wow, I was so invested and thoroughly entertained. I love this book so much, and now I want to read her entire catalog. The plot twist was everything, and I had a strong assumption. My gut was telling me who the person was, but the addition to that, I was completely thrown off. The book definitely deserved every bit of 5 stars because I loved it so much. Yeah, I think that review says enough on its own as well. This is such a great thriller. Geneva Rose is a great writer, great thriller writer, and I definitely think this is a book that you should read in 2025. My next 5-star read, y'all, this book literally has my heart. I'm about to go ahead and pull up my review so we can be ready for that, if I can find it. All right. So it's the first book, and I think the only book that I read by this author so far is Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan, y'all. This book just is so sweet. It still pulls at my heart strings, right? So this is another small town romance. And it says, I wanted to lose myself in the small town of Pelion, Maine, to forget everything that I had left behind. The sound of rain, the blood, the coldness of a gun against my skin for 6 months. Each breath has been a reminder that I survived and my dad didn't. I'm almost safe again, but the moment I meet Archer Hale, my entire world tilts on its axis and never rights itself again. Until I trespass into his strange, silent, and isolated world, Archer communicates with no one. Yet, in his whiskey-colored eyes, something intangible happens between us. There's so much more to him than just his beauty, his presence, or the ways that his hands communicate with me, on me. But this town is mired in secrets and betrayals, and Archer is the explosive center of it all. Y'all, this book was so good. I'm going to read my review, and I said, this story was so beautiful. Like, I am still processing the world I was immersed in. Archer and Bree, they stole my entire heart. How sweet are they? They have been through so many adversities and overcame so much. It was truly fate that brought them together. Archer needed Bree and Bree needed Archer, unbeknownst to them. I had recently learned that, well, this is a quote that I got from the book. I had learned recently that often love was all about learning to speak a person's language. That gave me all the feels, y'all. This story was 5 stars for me. Almost had me crying in the hair salon. I read this book in March of 2024. I am stoked to read more of her books. This was my first of hers, and I'm sure I'll be revisiting more of her books soon. And again, I have not read more of her books soon, but hopefully in the year 2025, I will be able to go through her catalog. If any of you have any other Mia Sheridan suggestions of her books in the comments that will give me everything that I need, please let me know in the comments. All right, let's go on to the next book. Okay, so I got up for a second. I'm not sure if it messed with the lighting a little bit, but hopefully y'all can see me because I don't have no contacts in or glasses. So I cannot see y'all for real. The next book is by my favorite author of all times, by my girl that I really hope I get to meet one day. It's Kennedy Ryan. And it's a sequel to my favorite book still. No book has been able to top it yet. Before I Let Go is this one. This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan. This is the second book to the Skyland series. And I know the third book is coming out this year. And I'm just so excited, y'all. This book was obviously 5 stars for me. It's about one of the girls in the friend group named Soledad. And she finds out something. She has been betrayed by her husband. And now she is are they divorced? Yeah, hold on, let me make sure. So pretty much if they're not 100% divorced yet, that's what's happening. They're separated. Her husband has betrayed her. And now this book is more so about a self-love journey with a hint of romance that she did not ask for, right? But that she so wholeheartedly deserves. She's a single mother. She is pretty much having to build herself back from the ground up because her husband was the breadwinner. She was a stay-at-home mom. So now she has to use the tools that she has and the gifts that she has within her to make a living for her and her girls because she refuses to depend on that husband of hers that shall not be named. And then Judah comes in the picture. And Judah is also a single daddy. And they cross paths in such an interesting way, right? But I love this book so much. I'm not going to say anything more about the book because I really just want y'all to read it. If you haven't read the first book first, Before I Let Go by Kennedy Ryan, make sure you read that before you read this. But this book was 5 stars, and I'm going to give y'all my review. So my review says signs. Oh, this is another long review. Kennedy Ryan just truly blows me away. Where do I even begin? I'm going to have to split my thoughts in 3 categories. First of all, Soledad's journey is just as beautiful. It's just a beautiful thing to see. All that she has been through, she could have truly just become a scorned woman and easily just became bitter and sit in that for as long as she pleased after all that she had to go through. Child, But she persevered. She took that pain and rage and used it for good for herself and for her daughters. She is so selfless, loves hard, and is so amazing at everything she touches. She inspires me so much, and I'm in love with the way Kennedy Ryan wrote her character. We can all learn something from her. Judah. Oh, Judah. Heaven sent. He is such an amazing man, amazing and devoted father, extremely intelligent with so much integrity and has so much love to give. He is the perfect man for Soledad, and man, oh man, they could not have been a messiest situation, but they handled it with so much grace. And his co-parenting with his ex-wife Tremaine, top tier. I said the friendship, Soledad, and sisterhood with Soledad, Hendrix, and Yasmin, plus Soul Sister was so beautiful to witness. If their friendship doesn't inspire you to become a better friend and show up and just be in tune, I don't know what will. This story is 5 stars for me, and now this is the first book that gave me a book hangover. I am not sure how I'll be able to move on from this, but thank you, Kennedy Ryan, for writing yet another incredible story where we feel so seen and never failing to make us laugh, cry, smile, and want to fight. After I do, and this could be or should be your top reads for your priorities for 2025. That's all I can say. So we have another thriller here. Let me get my review up. It's by my girl Frida. There's a few of her books that I've rated, I think, 5 stars. But I only picked one of hers, and I think it was the first one I read of hers, if I'm not lying. Okay. Yes, so it's A Never Lie by Frida McFadden. And I want to say this was the first book I read of hers, if not one of the first books I ever read of hers. As you all know, I'm not like the biggest thriller girly, so I need like those popcorn thrillers. I need those quick thrillers that's going to like get to the point, have me on the edge of my seat the whole time, have me guessing. I can't do the thrillers that are dragged out. I can't do it. And Frida McFadden is really, really good for those. For those who are like starting to get into thrillers, I think you will really enjoy it. This one is about newlyweds, Teresa and Ethan. They're searching for the house of their dreams. They think they found it when they visit the remote manor that once belonged to Dr. Adrian Hale, a renowned psychiatrist who vanished without a trace years ago. But a violent winter storm traps them at the estate. The house begins to lose its appeal. Stuck inside and growing restless, Teresa stumbles upon a collection of audio transcripts from Dr. Hale's sessions with patients. As Teresa listens to the cassette tapes, she learns about the terrifying chains of events leading up to the doctor's mysterious disappearance. With each tape, another shocking piece of the puzzle falls into place, and a web of lies slowly unravels. But by the time Teresa reaches the final cassette, the one that reveals the entire horrifying story, it will be too late. So my review for this was 5 stars. This was my first book of hers, and obviously I know this was the perfect one to start off with. I found myself laughing at myself so many times while reading this story because I just knew up and down I had it all figured out. But baby, I was so wrong. Her writing is phenomenal. She reels you into the story as soon as you start. It has so many page breaks, which I love. It's fast paced, and every chapter ends on a cliffhanger. I am so excited to read more of her books. This was so good. Well done. So again, if you're not into thrillers like that, but you're trying to figure out which thriller you want to get into, I feel as though Frida McFadden is a great place to start. And it's not as complex as other advanced thriller readers are. And it's very fast paced. So I really think this is something that you enjoy, and it'll keep your attention, you know? So yeah. Only 2 more books here, y'all. Y'all know I am also a romantic girly. Listen. Sarah J. Maas is just everything to me. Between her and Rebecca Yarros, they are my favorite fantasy writers that I've discovered so far. This is the second book in the ACOTAR series. And once I got to this book, because I'm not going to lie, ACOTAR is the first book. And when I first read it, y'all, I was like, I don't know. I didn't quite know how I felt about it. But people was like, just get to the second book. Just get to the second book. And this is the second book. I miss this world so very much. I miss it so much to where I am going to, the next Sarah J. Maas books I read will be the Throne of Glass series. And that will be after I have this baby, y'all. Like, I have to completely, like, not be in a slump at all in order to tackle that series. But this is the second book to the ACOTAR series, and I absolutely loved it. This was probably 5 or 6 stars for me. I'm going to read the review about it. I'm not going to read the synopsis because you really should read ACOTAR synopsis first. And I have plenty of videos. I think I have a whole reading vlog of me reading ACOTAR. So just go back. It's literally one of the first videos I probably ever filmed because I started this book channel a year ago in January. So yeah, just go to one of like my first videos. But this was the first book I think I read of 2024. And my review says 6 freaking stars. Well done, Sarah. I just have no words for this true masterpiece. When I first started reading A Court of Mist and Fury, I was not expecting the storyline to go in the direction it did, and OMG, I am so happy how it turned out. It captivated me from the beginning, and when I tell you I am in awe of Ryson and Farrah, okay, y'all, if you have not read ACOTAR, stop right now. Go read ACOTAR and come back, okay? That would be an understatement. This is by far my favorite of the series, and I still have so many left to go. Not anymore, I finished the series, but I am still sitting here unpacking what I've just experienced, reading this incredible story, and I am so excited to read more of them. So I lied. This wasn't the first book that I read of 2024, but it was, okay, so actually I started ACOTAR last year. ACOTAR is the first one. It's called A Court of Thorns and Roses. And I'm going to go ahead and read my review of that one. So I read this one January 22nd of 2024. Y'all, I'm out of breath. I'm sorry. So my review for that was I slept on it and my rating is still the same, 4 stars. This book was so good. It captivates you from the beginning and pulls you in as soon as chapter 2. Sorry, y'all. I don't know if I mentioned. And sorry about the sun is like coming out as well. I'm actually in the middle of working from home right now, so my phone rings. Don't mind. So ACOTAR, I thought I read that in 2023, but apparently I read that in 2024. I said I'm happy that they didn't make Farrah's character weak, even though all the fairies portray her as a small, weak, useless human. But she continued over and over to prove herself, and I love that for her. I had no complaints about Tamlin throughout the entire book. He was pure perfection. There's something different that I would usually gravitate to. This is something different that I would usually gravitate to as far as the reading genres I like. But Sarah did not disappoint, and I cannot wait to read the rest of the series. That's all I'm going to say about ACOTAR. I'm out of breath. You all read it. It's really, really good. The whole series alone for me was a 6-star series. Absolutely loved ACOTAR so much. So very much. So yeah, this is book 2. The entire series is good, but this personally was my favorite. This one and A Court of Rings and Ruin. And then last but not least, okay, my girl, Rebecca Yarros, y'all, I love her so much. This is the second book to Fourth Wing. The third book is coming out this month, I think January 21st. It's the 20-something of January, and it's called Onyx Storm. I pre-ordered that book when she first announced it over a year ago or last year sometime, and that should be coming through Amazon for me, hopefully on time. But this is the second book to the Fourth Wing series. If you have not read Fourth Wing, I highly advise you to read Fourth Wing. Like, y'all, so freaking good. It's a YA romantasy, and it was the first, I think, fantasy book that I've read, and I've just been like hooked ever since. And I'm going to read my review about this, to this book. So, actually, Iron Flame was the first book that I read for the year 2024. All right, so I had to delete some storage, but we're back. So my review for Iron Flame was, I am unwell. I absolutely loved Iron Flame. I absolutely loved the details and the history we received in this book on why things were the way they were when it's pertaining to Fourth Wing. I said the character development in this book, chef's kiss, and the action and the ending of this book literally took me by storm. I needed a few days to recover from this, and I was not being dramatic. This was 5 freaking stars for me, and the way that this book ended, I just have no clue the direction that Onyx Storm is going to go. So pretty much Fourth Wing is about a girl named Violet, Serigale, and X or whatever. And it almost reminds you of people compare it to like Hunger Games. I believe, do they? Almost, because like you have like these groups, I can't remember the terminology, to where like it's almost like a dystopian world where you're either going to go to this place or this place or this place. And Violet wanted to become a scribe, which is like everything that has to do with reading, being in the library and things like that. But her mom, which is the general of the whole base, forced her to be a dragon rider. And if you don't know this about Violet, Violet is very small. She's very like puny. From what they tell us, she's very petite. So she was never born to be a fighter, not like her sister. She wasn't like, and her brother, like that's not what she did. Like she's not a fighter. She's just always been about brains, but her mama forced her to be this. So she had to prove to herself, prove to everybody else, and fight to live every single day just to make sure that, you know, she can become a dragon rider, and she passes all these trials. And then X comes in. I think that's his name, right? She meets this guy, and he is like the total opposite from her. And she meets him actually back, Zayden. She meets him actually in Fourth Wing, actually, but I don't want to say too much because I don't want to spoil it. But read Fourth Wing first, and then read Iron Flame. But this is a must read for 2025, friends. So my battery is dying on my camera. Everything is just dying. But anyways, I really, really hope you all enjoyed this video. I cannot wait to see y'all in the next video, which should be a vlog, whatever all that pertains. But yes, these are my top 10 recommendations for 2025. So we have Iron Flame, A Court of Mist and Furies, Never Lied, This Could Be Us, Archer's Voice, The Perfect Marriage, Part of Your World, After I Do, King of Wrath, and Only for the Week. So we have a good mix of thrillers, romances, and fantasies in there. But anyways, I love y'all so much, friends, and I think this finally disconnected. I love y'all so much, and I cannot wait to see y'all in the next video. Bye, friends.